3.5 years ago. I took some time off for the pandemic, but I've been doing this a long time, and I learned a long time ago that the tours are best if you're prepared for what we're doing. You're better prepared if I prepare you. So I like to stop here and show people this. This is one of my favorite things in Hollywood. It's a lovely hand-painted mural of the great Dolores Del Rio. Dolores Del Rio was the first Latina superstar. She was beautiful, she was talented, she was enormously popular. You see Musso and Frank in productions sometimes. It's in every episode of the Kominsky Method if you watch that show streaming, because it's Michael Douglas and Alan Arkin's character's favorite place to get a bite to eat in that show. And occasionally you see celebrities coming and going from Musso and Frank. I saw Peter Bogdanovich walking out the front door not too long ago. If you remember the movie Pretty, to stop here, he climbs up the fire escape and presumably takes Julia Roberts away to live happily ever after.
Saan? Pretty Woman?
Pretty Woman. It's a retelling of the Cinderella story. Did you know that? From the dam at Lake Hollywood. It's an artificial lake. Built by William Mulhall, shared with everyone. Where we're going, it's very busy on weekends and holidays because people like to come here to exercise. You'll recognize this location if you've seen the movie Seven Psychopaths. Seven Psychopaths. It's a Colin Farrell movie. It's a great movie. How exciting. So Colin Farrell has the title Seven Psychopaths, and he all kicks off. But the movie kicks off at the dam where we are going right now. I think this is hilarious on the right. Land for sale. You want to buy this piece of land here? It's almost like, how dare they call it land? How are you going to build on it? What are you going to do? You can't start a farm there. On the left, on the left, the houses are built over the cliff. So what you do is you build on the side of the cliff. The problem is right there's almost no place between the land and the street, and you can't really build over the street. So what are you gonna do? Dig into the side of the hill? And on the very top, I don't know. I haven't looked into it. I'm just trying to be funny. Quite as much advertising for the Hollywood Land Realty Company, and originally it said Hollywood Land. The Hollywood Land Realty Company had a real estate development on this side of Molly that turned out to be a failed business, largely because of the economic situation at the time, the Great Depression. And when the business failed, the sign began its long decline. Years ago this past summer, the letters are 45 feet high and 30 feet wide. About a dozen years ago, buying the castle on the left, because you discover that it takes a lot of money to remodel it, and it needs a lot of remodeling. So it's like a sponge for your money. Nicolas Cage bought the castle, sunk $1 million or $2 million into it, and decided to pass it on to the next person and make that mistake. I've seen 10 owners of the castle in the nearly 26 years I've lived here. If you've ever worked in carpentry, you'll know right away. If you're gonna... We're just 2 blocks north of where we started. Restaurant. Yeah. I think something we've already seen. wants to see certain things. A lot of east corner of the Hollywood Highland complex. Next, to the left of it, above the Blink Twice billboard, what appears to be another white building. It's actually an archway. It has catwalks in it. There's a plaza below it. And the plaza and catwalk are said to be the best place in Hollywood to get Hollywood sign pictures. Because that fella in the Blink Twice Hollywood sign you through that archway. Coming up ahead of us on the right is Gardens Hotel, formerly the Link 1970. Janis Joplin passed away in Robert De Niro's character's house in Meet the Parents. Ben Stowe lived about a half a mile up the street here, and I think he probably picked this location personally. It was very convenient for him. He has since moved. If you've seen enough game show television in this country, you're familiar with the line, "Come on down." Until Drew Carey started hosting The Price is Right for 35 years, the original host came of last year at the age of 99. Until about a year before that, we used to see Bob here all the time. Bob liked to lean against the wall and give us that big familiar smile, and he would talk to us as long as we wanted to sit here and talk to him. He was just wonderful. If could, she said, build it. And she lived here for the rest of her life, lived here through 1983. After making movies both here and in Mexico from 1920. The studio became, of course, enormously successful with that as well. He wasn't afraid of anybody. You may have heard that Jeremy ran a neighbor's child from getting hit by his plow when it hit him. We see Jeremy up on the deck here sometimes, but most often we see him coming and going from this gate in a black Mercedes-Benz with blacked out windows. So you can't tell who's driving, but he always does the same thing. He stops and he lowers the window really slowly and gives us a wave and a grin and a nice reveal. And people just cheer for him. They love it. And you can tell he loves doing it. He's always been very generous. I'm so glad he's going to be okay. I've been following his career since I first saw him in a Red Locker. West across. West Hollywood. Clara Bow was 17 years old. She's scared of stuff. He was afraid she was going to be taken advantage of, but people loved her and they took care of her. This on the left was Clara Bow's first Hollywood home. She was also successful in talking pictures. She opened up a restaurant called the Kid Cafe. She had a successful marriage, so she was only rocket fire as Brad made his escape. Unforgettable. I have seen a lot of shoots on this street. The production companies love this street. I've seen them close this block down, sometimes for days. Same thing with the next left. And you're going to find that the contract offers you more money than you can possibly say no. If you remember, voice means the base Englishman who likes to pretend he's from just about anywhere else in the world. The White House here on the right is Alfred Molina's house. You might know Alfred best as Dr. Octopus from Spider-Man. He did a great job as Theodore Rosetta in Selma Hayek's movie Frida. Was great as Frenchman, as the mayor in Chocolat. My favorite performance, though, is in Boogie Nights. And pretty much immediately. His first movie role. We've never been in here yet. We've never seen the time on production. They have to look familiar. Like on the right here, Chateau Marmont Hotel. It's in productions all the time. Celebrities love to stay here. on the left, a fine example of Art Deco architecture, the Sunset Tower Hotel. It was built as an apartment building, and many celebrities had apartments here when it was one. Marilyn Monroe, in fact, had two. Errol Flynn, Clark Gable, John Wayne, all three of the Gabor sisters, Jean Harlow, and many, many more had apartments at the Sunset Tower. The second of LA's most famous and popular comedy venues on our tours, the Comedy Store. I'm sure you've seen it in establishing shots and productions. And I would think you'd have to recognize the names of right there. They passed away on the sidewalk out front. They are going to be tearing this walk down before too much longer, so they might have tried to walk down. And the most famous club on the Sunset Strip is one of the most famous clubs in the whole world. I'm gonna try to pull up in front of the front door, and if you look to the left of the front door, you'll see the plaque that they had recorded a note, and they were fired. A yoga. Most popular rock clubs is the Roxy here, right? Roxy, founded by David Geffen, producer Lou Adler, and the Rainbow Bar and Grill, right after it. Has a lot of it's probably most important. It's where you'll find the showroom floor, and drove it right through one of the windows of the dealership and went screaming down Sunset Boulevard in it. It's very convenient. Several years ago, Sir Elton John bought the entire top floor of the Sierra Towers and converted it into all one unit, and he was very happy living in the penthouse of the Sierra Towers until it occurred to him that he should be raising his son in a house with a yard and a popular restaurant in Los Angeles, and pretty soon you could find Wolfgang's food everywhere. He has service, he's got a bed and breakfast, and you even see him in movies as well as TV. Everybody loves Wolfgang Brothers. It's exactly like this one. And Shirley Temple was so successful as a child. This was built with her funds and put in her name when she was still a little girl. Which would really be unprecedented.
Simon Cowles.
Simon built this 15 and a half years ago. We never see the changes stop. Because you know Simon, he's never quite satisfied. We've got a born showman here.
Hello.
So both the great Fred Astaire and the great Charlie Chaplin called it home. Oh, isn't it lovely? I'd love to see the inside of this place. Bill. Author is Jackie Collins, and before that, Bert Lahr, who was the Cowardly Lion in The Wizard of Oz. Floyd Mayweather. Buy his first house. He rented his car from my parents' generation, who I have never thought was funny. On the right, this is the Beverly Hills Hotel that people refer to as the Pink Palace. It's owned by the Sultan of Brunei. You want to remember the polo lodges here, because it's always been one of the hottest of the celebrity hotspots. And now we're going to have the thrill ride part of the tour. I promise you this isn't really dangerous. It's a five-way intersection up here with just stop signs, no lights. I know people come to California and become confused by the four-way stop sign situations you see all over our state, so I take it for granted the key generally is just to close my eyes and step on the gas and hope for the best. You might remember Gene Kelly best for singing singing in the rain. I'm singing in the rain. You can own on Rodeo Drive in Beverly Hills, California if you are simply the great Bugs Bunny, Elmer Fudd, Porky and Petunia Pig, Daffy Duck, Yosemite Sam, the Tasmanian Devil, Marvin the Martian, Speedy Gonzales, Pepe Le Pew, Foghorn Leghorn, the Roadrunner, Tweety Bird, Sylvester, Wile E. Coyote, and every other Looney Tunes character you can possibly think of. Plus, Mel did the voices of a whole lot of other characters you're familiar with that were not Looney Tunes characters as well. Mel was Woodpecker. He was Heathcliff the Cat. He was some of the Jetsons, like Mr. Spacely. He would Cat in the Hat House.
Dr.
In the movie 8 Million Ways to Die, it was Andy Garcia's character's house. Some people refer to it as the Wedding Cake House. And it's one of only 2 houses in all of Los Angeles outdoors. The House of Ishan is a yellow building, just a black and white on it. Most expensive store on Rodeo Drive. His favorite color was yellow, so the store is yellow. A lot of his shit.
Louis Vuitton. Can we go and have a walk there later?
House of Gucci on the right. And then Prada. Walk into Prada, walk out with nada.
VR.
On the left, Harry Winston, who are legendary for having put more real gemstones in productions than anyone else in
Harry
the world.
Winston.
Via Rodeo is the walkway here to the right, designed and constructed to resemble Italy. It's entirely impossible them on the weekends in the middle of the day, like right now, than any other time. We see a lot of out-of-town celebrities here because they know it's you from seeing the green building that's hiding behind it. And trust me on this, don't make an effort to see the green building. It's the ugliest building on the face of the planet. They did with these pink unicorns here. Great job, huh? What do you think, kids?
It's cool.
Really popular. Most recently we saw Jeff Goldblum walking away from here with a big smile on his face. I actually had the privilege of doing a scene with him. It was directed by David Mamet, and he came over and directed me personally. Here, what used to be the Charlie Chaplin studio. He had the facade built to remind him of his hometown of early 20th century London. That's why it still does. The reason Kermit the Frog is on top of the tower dressed as Charlie these days, it is currently the gym. The early ladies of Hollywood and their ethnic diversity as well. That are meant to be Dorothy Dandridge, Anna Mae Wong, Dolores Del Rio, and Mae West. Inlaid to the right of them are 2 Walk of Fame stars that were moved here.
Everything after Thailand. Not the juniors here, everything after juniors. None underneath it, Ken. Everything after me.